Hello, and welcome back to Capella Wellness. I'm so glad you're here. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt your heart race before a big presentation, even though it's still days away? Or found yourself lying awake at night, running through worst-case scenarios about a meeting that hasn't happened yet? If you're nodding right now, you're experiencing something called anticipatory anxiety. And here's what I want you to know. You're not alone, you're not broken, and what's happening in your brain is actually quite fascinating. Today, we're diving into the neuroscience behind anticipatory anxiety, and more importantly, I'm sharing practical, evidence-based strategies that you can use starting today. Let's begin. Anticipatory anxiety is exactly what it sounds like. Anxiety about future events. But it's not just ordinary worry. It's that visceral, physical sensation of dread about something that hasn't happened yet and may never happen at all. A 2019 study from University College London found that uncertainty about future outcomes actually causes more stress than knowing something bad will happen. Think about that. Our brains find not knowing more distressing than knowing the worst. For working professionals, especially women who often navigate additional workplace pressures, this shows up everywhere. Before performance reviews, difficult conversations, presentations, even emails we need to send. Here's what's happening in your brain. Your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, is doing its job, perhaps a bit too enthusiastically. It can't distinguish between a real, immediate threat and an imagined future one. To your amygdala, worrying about next week's client pitch activates the same alarm system as facing actual danger. Research from Japan's RIKEN Brain Science Institute shows that this anticipatory response actually hijacks your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking and planning. That's why when you're caught in anticipatory anxiety, it's genuinely harder to think clearly. So let's go a bit deeper into what's actually happening inside your brain. When you anticipate a stressful event, 3 key brain regions light up in a very specific pattern. First, the amygdala activates and releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Second, your anterior cingulate cortex, which processes emotions and detects conflict, goes into overdrive, scanning for threats. And third, your prefrontal cortex, which should be helping you rationalize and plan, gets suppressed. German researchers at the Max Planck Institute discovered something crucial in 2021. Chronic anticipatory anxiety actually strengthens the neural pathways between your amygdala and these worry centers. The more you engage in anticipatory thinking, the more automatic it becomes. Your brain literally builds highways for anxiety. But here's the encouraging part. Neuroplasticity means we can build new pathways too. A study from King's College London showed that specific interventions can reduce amygdala reactivity in as little as 8 weeks. Your brain is changeable, and that's incredibly hopeful. Now, why does this particularly affect working women and desk-based professionals? Research from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden found that workplace anticipatory anxiety is significantly linked to role ambiguity and lack of control. When you're navigating environments where expectations aren't clear, or where you have limited autonomy, your brain's uncertainty response goes into constant alert. For women in leadership or early career professionals, there's an added layer. A 2022 multinational study published in the Journal of Occupational Health Psychology found that women in professional settings often experience what researchers call anticipatory perfectionism, worrying not just about outcomes, but about being perceived as competent. Add to this the cognitive load of desk work, constant digital notifications, and back-to-back meetings, and your nervous system rarely gets a chance to reset. Australian neuroscience research shows that prolonged periods of sitting and screen time actually amplify stress hormone production, creating a feedback loop with anticipatory anxiety. Understanding this isn't about adding more to worry about. It's about recognizing that your response is normal given the circumstances, and that change is possible. All right, let's move into what you can actually do about this. These are strategies backed by research from around the world, and I'm focusing on what's practical for your real life. Strategy 1. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique. When anticipatory anxiety strikes, this technique from Brazilian cognitive therapy research interrupts the amygdala's alarm cycle. Here's how. Notice 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This works because it activates your sensory cortex and redirects neural activity away from the anxiety centers. You can do this at your desk, in a meeting room, anywhere. It takes about 2 minutes. Strategy 2. Scheduled worry time. This might sound counterintuitive, but research from the Netherlands Institute for Neuroscience shows that containing worry to a specific time actually reduces overall anxiety. Set aside 15 minutes each day, perhaps during your lunch break. When anticipatory thoughts arise outside this time, acknowledge them and say, "I'll think about this during my worry time." Then redirect your attention. What happens neurologically is fascinating. You're training your prefrontal cortex to regulate your amygdala, strengthening top-down control over emotional responses. Strategy 3. Bilateral stimulation. This comes from EMDR therapy research, validated across multiple countries including the UK, France, and South Korea. While sitting at your desk, simply tap your knees alternately, left, right, for about a minute while thinking about the anxiety-provoking event. Studies show this activates both brain hemispheres and helps process emotional content, reducing the intensity of anticipatory fear. It's discreet enough to do during a bathroom break or before a meeting. Strategy 4. The physiological sigh. Stanford researchers discovered this breathwork pattern is the fastest way to reduce stress in real time. Take 2 inhales through your nose, a quick second inhale to fully expand your lungs, then a long, slow exhale through your mouth. Repeat 3 times. This directly activates your parasympathetic nervous system and downregulates your amygdala within minutes. Perfect for those moments right before you need to perform. Strategy 5. Reality testing. Research from the Beck Institute and validation studies across Asia show that gently challenging anticipatory thoughts reduces their emotional impact. Ask yourself 3 questions. What's the evidence this will happen? What's the evidence it won't? What's the most realistic outcome? Write these down. The act of writing engages your prefrontal cortex and creates distance from the emotional intensity of the amygdala response. Strategy 6. Movement breaks. Finnish occupational health research demonstrates that even 3 minutes of movement every hour reduces stress hormone accumulation. This doesn't mean a full workout. Stand up, stretch, walk to get water, do shoulder rolls. Movement metabolizes stress hormones and prevents the buildup that fuels anticipatory anxiety. Here's what I want you to take away from today. Anticipatory anxiety isn't a character flaw or a weakness. It's your brain's threat system working overtime in an uncertain environment. And while you can't always control what triggers this response, you absolutely can influence how your brain processes it. Start with just one strategy this week. Maybe it's the physiological sigh before your next presentation, or scheduling worry time during lunch. Small, consistent actions create new neural pathways. Your brain is on your side, even when it doesn't feel that way. With understanding and practice, you can work with it instead of against it. If today's episode resonated with you, please share it with a colleague who might need it. And remember, taking care of your mental well-being isn't self-indulgent, it's essential. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next time on Capella Wellness.